Behind the camera lies Hollywood's darkest secret, a system where young men traded their bodies for stardom, their silence for survival, and their souls for a single moment in the spotlight. Before they were household names, before women fainted at their performances and men envied their success, they were just hungry boys with nothing but desperate dreams. Some were blackmailed into submission. Others were passed between powerful men like currency. A few disappeared entirely when they threatened to speak. Tonight, we uncover the shadows that built the Golden Age. 10 men who climbed to fame on a ladder made of secrets too dangerous to reveal. Their stories have been whispered in Hollywood corridors for decades, but never told in full, until now. If these hidden stories captivate you as much as they should, hit that subscribe button and join us as we pull back the curtain on Hollywood's most guarded secrets. Rudolph Valentino, the Latin lover's dark beginning. Before he was Hollywood's most desired man, before women fainted just watching his lips touch the screen, Rudolph Valentino was nothing more than a poor Italian immigrant wandering New York streets with empty pockets and even emptier hopes. He scrubbed dishes, tended gardens, worked as a waiter, anything to survive in a city that seemed determined to crush him. But desperation makes men vulnerable to dangerous propositions. Whispers from those who knew him speak of hunger, humiliation, and a bargain that would follow him like a ghost. He wasn't fired from his restaurant job for laziness or theft. Rumor has it he was dismissed for being too friendly with certain male clients. That magnetic smile, those dark eyes, they drew attention. Dangerous attention. Then came the invitation to an underground club known only by insiders as Mickey. Behind its doors existed a forbidden marketplace where wealthy, powerful men chose beautiful boys for the night. For Valentino, desperate and constantly fearing deportation, $50 in 1915 was a fortune. It was also survival. When the threat came, one call to the police and you're finished, he surrendered. Week after week, strangers claimed him like property. But not all were strangers. Norman Carey, the actor and producer with Hollywood connections, whispered louder than the rest. Was he just another client or the one who saw potential beyond the scandal? In 1921, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse transformed Valentino into the Latin lover overnight. The immigrant boy who once sold himself for survival became America's most desired man. But fame cannot erase the past. After his death, a note was found in his handwriting. "The world calls me their lover, but the first night I lay still, no one kissed me at all." Shannon, the legend of Rudolph Valentino, isn't just about passion. It's about the boy who stepped into shadows and perhaps never truly escaped them. James Dean, number 6, at the Chateau Marmont. He was only 20, a haunted-faced boy from Indiana with nothing but a bus ticket and a hunger to be seen. James Dean arrived in Los Angeles with no money, no contacts, no auditions. But sometimes innocence becomes the most dangerous currency of all. At the Chateau Marmont Hotel, once nicknamed Hollywood's after-hours casting office, Dean was noticed almost immediately. Not for his talent or charm, but for something else entirely. He was quiet. He didn't ask questions. He didn't fight back. One bartender later recalled private parties where young men weren't introduced by names, but by numbers. Dean, with his messy curls and sad eyes, was number 6. Rogers Brackett, a seasoned theater director from New York, pulled him from these shadows. But Brackett wasn't just a mentor. Some say he was a sponsor. Others call him something darker. Actress Christine White, who lived nearby, often heard Dean crying in Brackett's bathroom at 3 a.m. Yet every sunrise, Dean emerged composed, his face wiped clean, ready to play the charming newcomer. The price of mentorship was steep. Dean began appearing at exclusive parties where cocktails weren't the only things on the menu. He was once asked to spend the night with an older investor in exchange for a television role. He couldn't say no. One yes might buy him freedom from washing dishes at that Sunset Boulevard diner. Then came rumors of a tape, secretly filmed in a Wilshire Boulevard penthouse while Dean entertained a powerful studio executive. The film never surfaced, but whispers say it was enough to keep him bound, a leash of celluloid wrapped around his neck. From then on, James Dean's life was no longer his own. Every detail was curated by faceless handlers in the shadows. He had traded pieces of himself for immortality, and for a fleeting moment, he had it. But in 1955, at just 24, his life ended in a violent car crash. To the world, it was fate. To those who knew how he lived, questions remain. Marlon Brando, the ruthless survivor. They called him a genius, a rebel, a god on screen. But behind the camera, whispers painted a very different picture of Marlon Brando, a man willing to pay Hollywood's highest price to reach the top. At a 1975 press party, Brando allegedly raised his glass with a sly grin and declared, "I slept with anyone who could give me a part. Male or female, it didn't matter as long as they had power." That line became more than scandal. It was a glimpse into American cinema's shadows, where flesh and ambition were traded like currency. In the 1940s, Brando wasn't yet a legend. He was just another hungry young actor, bouncing between dingy New York stages. According to Theater Circle whispers, aging director George Cukor first placed a price tag on Brando's talent. Some claimed Brando received $300 a week for late-night rehearsals at Cukor's lavish Beverly Hills home. When the spotlight seemed just out of reach, it was reportedly Cukor who made the phone call to Elia Kazan, a call that led to Brando's electrifying role as Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. But that was only the beginning. Rumors suggest Brando quickly learned the system, playing the game with ruthless charm. Directors, producers, even reporters, anyone with influence could become a stepping stone. A leaked diary allegedly listed 14 men who helped Brando with both their power and their bodies. Among those names whispered most often was Jack Warner, the iron-fisted studio boss. Some stories claim Warner shielded Brando from a sex scandal in 1953, ensuring he stayed untouchable long enough to shine in Julius Caesar. Brando would later mock Hollywood's hypocrisy, bragging about lovers of both sexes as if daring the world to expose him. Yet behind the bravado, questions lingered. Was he confessing or covering up? The official record shows Brando as a genius who reshaped acting. But in murkier archives of rumor and memory, another picture emerges. A man who conquered Hollywood not just with talent, but with every secret weapon he could use, including his own body. George Maharis, the Route 66 star's downfall. In the early 1960s, America had Route 66, not just a show, but an anthem for freedom and adventure. At its heart was George Maharis as Buzz Murdoch, with sharp cheekbones, rugged masculinity, and quiet danger behind his eyes. To millions of women, he was irresistible. To men, he was who they wanted to be or secretly wanted to have. But Hollywood turns its brightest stars into shadows. The fall began one cold November night in 1967. The Los Angeles Times carried a headline, "Most Forgot." TV actor arrested in public restroom for indecent conduct. The man was George Maharis, caught in the Westwood Hotel restroom with an undercover LAPD officer. Whispers told a darker story. Some claimed Maharis had been followed for weeks, deliberately targeted because of rumors about his private life. Others said he was set up by studio men who wanted him silenced, replaced by someone more manageable. Whatever the truth, the result was the same. His career imploded overnight. Directors who once praised his talent now muttered in hushed voices, "Everyone knew from the start he wasn't cast for his acting. He was beautiful and he was obedient." Obedient to whom was never clear. Some insiders believed Maharis had been kept early in his career, quietly sponsored by men who could open television doors. One casting assistant told a journalist off the record that Buzz Murdoch was born in the back room, not the audition room. CBS, advertisers, producers, they dropped him with surgical precision. Route 66 rolled on, but Maharis was erased. He disappeared afterward, living quietly like a ghost, in sharp contrast to the man who once ruled America's living rooms. A rumor circulated that Maharis kept letters, photographs, and evidence that could have ruined studio heads if revealed. Was his silence bought, or simply the silence of a man broken by entertainment's cruelest system? His story reminds us of Hollywood's darkest bargain: beauty as currency, obedience as survival, and how quickly a single headline could turn a star into an exile. Tab Hunter, the All-American Prisoner. They called him the All-American Boy. Golden hair, trusted smile, the kind of face mothers approved and teenagers worshipped. In the 1950s, Tab Hunter wasn't just a star. He was the Dream Machine's poster child. The boy next door who seemed too perfect to be real. Maybe that was the problem. The first cracks appeared in 1950. At 19, police records placed him at a Long Beach party, later described as indecent. For an unknown actor, it could have been fatal. One headline could have killed his career before it began. But the story vanished overnight. A powerful producer stepped in, bailed him out of more than jail, and offered something bigger: a 5-year studio contract. Friends suggested the contract wasn't signed with ink, but with silence and submission. Years later, when asked about it, Hunter only smirked. "I didn't lose anything. I just had to stay the night with someone I couldn't say no to." The machine closed around him. The studio realized his face was too valuable to risk. Everything was arranged: who he dated, what he wore, even how he smiled on command. Natalie Wood, Debbie Reynolds, countless actresses paraded as his companions. They were never lovers, only decoys. Each romance was carefully staged to keep the real story buried. In the shadows, Tab lived differently. Private encounters with unnamed men, secret weekends hidden from photographers. The studio even hired investigators to tail him, ensuring no scandal escaped. His beauty was both fortune and prison. In his memoir years later, Hunter confessed, "I wasn't chosen for my acting. I was chosen because I was willing to be quiet and beautiful in the way Hollywood needed." His career was built not on freedom, but on obedience. There were nights when the mask nearly slipped. Friends remembered laughter stopping suddenly, replaced by silence. He was always performing, afraid the walls might be listening. To the public, Tab Hunter was the golden idol. To those who looked closer, his life was performance in survival itself. A star adored by millions, yet imprisoned by the very image that made him famous. Sal Mineo, the beautiful victim. Sal Mineo possessed dark eyes, a restless smile, and dangerous beauty that made him unforgettable in Rebel Without a Cause. To the world, he was James Dean's doomed companion, symbolizing teenage confusion and tenderness. But behind the role that made him famous was a shadow he never truly outran. Hollywood insiders whispered his story began long before cameras rolled. In 1955, when Sal was barely 16, he was invited to a powerful producer's private home. Officially for a dialogue session, a chance to prove himself. Friends later claimed Sal described it differently. They said I'd get the part if I could convince them I was soft enough. That night, he stayed. The next morning, his name appeared on the audition list for Rebel Without a Cause. Did he trade innocence for opportunity? No one could prove it, but Sal never denied it either. In a 1973 television interview, later cut before broadcast, he said coldly, "In Hollywood, if you don't satisfy them, they won't remember your name." The role made him a star, but James Dean's sudden death left Sal adrift. Without Dean, without the machine pushing him forward, offers slowed. The spotlight dimmed and whispers grew louder. Some said he was discarded, passed from director to director, expected to give more than talent in exchange for work scraps. Reports claimed he had arrangements in Palm Springs, exclusive private deals with filmmakers promising small roles for silence and obedience. By the late 1960s, Sal fought to reclaim himself. He turned to theater, underground art projects, speaking more openly about Hollywood's demands. For the first time, he seemed ready to pull back the curtain. A week before his death, he allegedly told a CBS reporter, "I've got names, photos, tapes. If something happens to me, go find them." February 12, 1976, West Hollywood. Sal Mineo was murdered outside his apartment. Police called it robbery, but his wallet remained in his pocket, his watch on his wrist. What was missing was his briefcase, the one some believed held everything he planned to expose. To this day, many refuse to believe it was random. Montgomery Clift, the boy with haunted eyes. Montgomery Clift never smiled for long in front of cameras. His gaze always held quiet sadness, as if it belonged somewhere else, or perhaps nowhere at all. Maybe that made sense because this world, Hollywood, was never truly his. It was a place thriving on youth, beauty, and silence. According to diary entries said to be left by Elizabeth Taylor, Clift once confessed a haunting memory. In his youth, a friend introduced him to a well-connected stage director. The price for opportunity was not talent, but intimacy. When Taylor asked if he regretted it, Clift's reply was chillingly calm. "No, but every time I remember it, I feel like a part of me died." That sentence lingered like a ghost over everything he became. In 1945, before anyone knew his name, Clift was invited to a private audition at a grand estate, the kind of mansion that swallowed secrets in velvet curtains. Acclaimed director Joshua Logan was searching for a new face. What happened inside remained unspoken, but an elderly housemaid later claimed she saw him in tears, pacing the halls, broken but silent. Yet when he walked out through the gates, he carried a contract. It was the beginning, but also the wound that never healed. Even after stardom wrapped around him, Clift dodged every question about how it all began. When pressed by Variety about his earliest breaks, his answer was strange, almost coded. "I started in theater and in a few rooms where no one was watching." The weight of those rooms never left him. He carried them into every set, every close-up, every pause between lines. Off-screen, he lived in loneliness, fought battles with alcohol and pills, and wore his pain like second skin. His beauty made him a star, but his secrets kept him prisoner. By the mid-1950s, Hollywood had given him a name, the boy with haunted eyes. Directors adored his raw emotion, his ability to bleed on screen without shedding tears. But friends saw the cracks. He often left parties abruptly, laughter cut short, slipping into silence as if terrified one wrong word could expose him. Rock Hudson, the perfect companion. To the world, Rock Hudson was the ultimate leading man. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a face carved from marble and a voice that melted audiences. On screen, he was every woman's fantasy. But behind Hollywood's golden age, whispers painted another portrait, not of a man in control, but of a man controlled. As early as the 1950s, when Hudson was just another hopeful at Universal, he fell under the command of Henry Wilson, Hollywood's most powerful manager, notorious for grooming young men in exchange for loyalty. Hudson was everything Wilson wanted, handsome, discreet, and pliable. According to a studio memo leaked decades later, one assistant scrawled, "He's obedient, polite, and ready to accompany clients if I nod." They called Hudson the perfect companion. He played the part at Beverly Hills hotels, Palm Springs estates, smoky backroom gatherings. He appeared on cue, poured drinks, charmed investors, and if the signal was given, disappeared quietly behind closed doors. No questions, no refusals. A recorded phone call between Wilson and producer Ross Hunter, retold in Scotty Bauer's memoir, carried a chilling line. "He can handle 2 in a night as long as no one takes pictures." The machine knew his worth. When Hudson's fame exploded with Magnificent Obsession and Pillow Talk, he became more than a star. He was leveraged. Rumors swirled that his presence at private soirees unlocked millions in quiet investment. Checks signed by wealthy men entertained not just by Hudson's charm, but by Hudson himself. Behind the dazzling posters was another life, nights beginning with tuxedos and champagne, often ending in silence. Some claimed he returned home from these duties and sat motionless for hours, waiting for dawn to wash it away. A friend once recalled catching him staring at his reflection after a party, whispering, "It's not me they want, just the mask." In 1985, when Hudson's AIDS diagnosis became public, the illusion cracked. After his death, a crumpled note allegedly contained 7 words, "I was never allowed to say no." Behind Rock Hudson's smile, behind the elegance, behind the legend, was a story written not in love, but in obedience. Richard Chamberlain, the doctor's double life to America. In the early 1960s, Richard Chamberlain was perfect as Dr. Kildare in NBC's hit medical drama. Young, handsome, trustworthy, the man mothers wished their daughters would marry. He was crowned America's most eligible bachelor, and for a time, no face was more adored on television. But behind studio lights, Chamberlain lived a different reality, built on silence, secrecy, and constant fear. Fear that one wrong move, one misplaced photograph, one lover who refused to stay quiet could end his career overnight. A former assistant told Hollywood Insider, "He never left the studio with his lover. All meetings happened in his apartment, windows shut, curtains drawn, phone unplugged." To some, it sounded like paranoia. In Hollywood's hidden corridors, it was survival. Chamberlain, like many peers, faced after-hours auditions, midnight meetings in Beverly Hills mansions, where talent was measured not by performance, but by compliance. If you pleased the right person, a role was yours. If not, you vanished. One rumor told of a network executive who demanded Chamberlain's company before greenlighting a role. Another spoke of a journalist threatening exposure, only to be silenced after a private visit arranged by his manager. When a male co-star once suggested going public, Chamberlain's reply was chilling. "If I lose this role because I love you, will you be able to feed me?" So he wore the mask, the perfect gentleman, the flawless bachelor. His life became a staged performance. Arm in arm with actresses at premieres, posed photographs in glossy magazines, smiles that never cracked. Friends recalled moments when Chamberlain's mask slipped. At parties, he sometimes withdrew mid-conversation, laughter dying on his lips. One remembered him pacing a hotel suite, whispering, "What if they find out? What if this is the last night?" For 40 years, Chamberlain lived this way, adored by millions, yet unable to live as himself. Only after retirement, when Hollywood no longer controlled him, did he peel the mask away. But by then, decades were lost. Roles he might have taken, relationships he might have embraced, the life he might have lived, all sacrificed at survival's altar. Farley Granger. The Boy. Too innocent for Hollywood. Farley Granger seemed far too innocent for Hollywood, yet carried shadows as dark as any other. Audiences first saw him in Alfred Hitchcock's Rope in 1948. He was 22, soft features, dreamy eyes, and vulnerability that made people lean closer. On screen, he was fragile, almost delicate, the perfect victim or perfect lover. Off screen, that same fragility was both a gift and a curse. In 1950, he crossed paths with playwright Arthur Lawrence. To the world, Lawrence was a respected writer, sharp, brilliant, celebrated. To Granger, he was something else entirely. Mentor, lover, gatekeeper. Their relationship lasted more than 15 years, a mixture of passion, dependency, and control. In his memoir, Include Me Out, Granger admitted, "Arthur taught me how to love, how to pretend, and how to lie down when I needed to keep a role." That single line became a whisper that never stopped. For every part Granger won, there were rumors. For every audition, speculation. In smoky bars on sound stages, people muttered, "Who did he sleep with this week?" On the set of Strangers on a Train, jokes turned dangerous. A young assistant was fired after making sly remarks about Granger's private life. The message was clear. Some truths were never to be spoken aloud. Insiders claimed Arthur controlled nearly everything, which scripts landed on Granger's desk, which parties he attended, even which people he was allowed to be seen with. One colleague remembered Granger declining a dinner invitation, then whispering, "I can't. Arthur wouldn't like it." Another recalled how at studio gatherings, Lawrence stood quietly in corners, watching every move, as though holding a leash invisible to everyone but Farley himself. The rewards were real. Roles arrived, applause followed. He was young, handsome, in demand. But the cost was steep. Friends remembered sudden mood shifts, laughter cut short, his eyes drifting off as though trapped in memory. Unlike many peers, Farley chose not to deny the past. In one final interview, his words were startling in their honesty. "I loved. I was used to it. But I don't regret it because in this world, if you don't let them touch your body, they'll never let you touch the spotlight. Hollywood has always promised dreams, but it rarely revealed the price." Behind the lights, applause, and headlines were rooms locked to the public, places where careers were made and innocence was lost. These 10 men climbed to stardom on a ladder built from secrets, silence, and survival. Some, like Rudolph Valentino and James Dean, carried their shadows to early graves. Others, like Tab Hunter and Richard Chamberlain, lived decades imprisoned by the very images that made them famous. A few, like Sal Mineo, paid the ultimate price when they threatened to speak. But all shared a common truth. In Hollywood's golden age, beauty was currency, obedience was survival, and silence was the price of fame. Their stories remind us that behind every perfect smile on the silver screen was often a young man who had learned to say yes when he wanted to say no, to perform not just on camera, but in life itself. The machine that created them also consumed them, turning dreams into nightmares and stars into prisoners. The question that refuses to fade haunts Hollywood still. How many truly rose on talent alone? And how many were lifted by secrets they could never escape? Some truths remain buried, some stories lost forever. But the whispers never stop, echoing through the corridors of an industry built as much on shadows as on light. If these hidden truths have opened your eyes to Hollywood's darker history, subscribe now and join us as we continue uncovering the secrets no studio ever dared reveal. In the comments below, tell us, was it talent that built the golden age or something far more sinister?
Sal Mineo, the young star who once shook America with "Rebel Without a Cause," left behind a secret list before he died. A list of famous Hollywood men who had hidden affairs with him. One of them, once hailed as the very symbol of American masculinity, cost Sal more than just heartbreak. Was it those revelations that got him silenced forever? Why did Sal choose his final moments to expose the truth? What secret was so dangerous it forced all of Hollywood to erase every trace? Tonight, we uncover the tragic love story of a man who dared to love openly in an industry built on lies and paid the ultimate price for refusing to stay silent. Subscribe now to discover Hollywood's most dangerous secrets. James Dean, the first love and fatal attraction. James Dean didn't just shake the silver screen. He made Hollywood suffocate with raw authenticity in a world built on illusions. But that light came from a secret he never dared speak: Sal Mineo. Sal entered Dean's life during Rebel Without a Cause filming. While everyone saw perfect co-stars, behind curtains they belonged to each other through passionate nights at Beverly Hills Hotel, where Dean whispered, "If I die, burn all the private reels we shot. No one can ever see them." Dean's paranoia proved prophetic. He received a death threat written in pig's blood. "Choose your career or your little boyfriend." Panicked, Dean cut contact for 3 weeks until Sal appeared on the giant set, standing under the sun for hours saying, "If you run away, I will die." 3 weeks later, Dean died in his car crash. An anonymous mechanic later told Confidential magazine that Dean's Porsche brakes had been tampered with before departure. He was silenced with $12,000 and threats about his daughter's safety. Sal became so haunted, he stuffed cloth in door cracks nightly, fearing hidden cameras. Some said he hired an exorcist, others claimed he called NBC crying, "I have James Dean's sex tape, but I can't keep it anymore." 2 weeks later, NBC's office burned down. Bobby Sherman, the innocent who betrayed him. In 1963, Sal's star was fading. Desperate to maintain fame, he played a risky game, going public with Jill Haworth, daughter of powerful producer Louis Haworth. But then came Bobby Sherman, 4 years younger, shockingly innocent, with eyes that made anyone forget where they were. They met during an NBC recording session. Curious about his feelings toward men, Bobby asked Sal, "If I feel nothing kissing a girl, is that wrong?" Sal whispered back, "You just haven't kissed the right person yet." They began meeting secretly in a Laurel Canyon penthouse Sal rented under a fake name. Bobby still called his girlfriend. Sal still attended galas with Jill. But nights belonged to them, touching in silence like the outside world never existed. Their secret unraveled when a gardener spotted Sal leaving Beverly Hills Hotel wearing Bobby's ring. A Cuban paparazzo captured them kissing beside a parked car. But the real explosion came when Jill found a cassette tape of Sal and Bobby's intimate moments. She mailed the tape to Los Angeles Times titled, "I'm Sal Mineo's fiancé and I heard him love a man." The story hit newsstands like a nuclear bomb, annihilating Sal's career within 72 hours, while Bobby's manager forced him to deny everything. Paul Newman, the love that could never be. During 1960s Exodus filming, Hollywood reporters noticed Paul Newman regularly visiting a modest Benedict Canyon apartment, always arriving minutes after Sal Mineo. Newman was America's reigning male icon, the perfect husband and father, while Sal desperately tried rekindling his fading stardom. National Enquirer leaked a bombshell. Paul Newman secretly meets with male actor who once co-starred with James Dean. Italian reporter Marco Allegri had seen Newman and Sal drive off in a silver Pontiac to a secluded lot behind Beverly Hilton. Hollywood reporter lined up an exclusive interview where Sal admitted, "Paul was the one I loved most. After filming, I'd never seen anyone look at me like he did." But the piece vanished after Warner Brothers threatened to drop all ad deals. According to a Paramount insider, Sal recorded a final conversation with Newman where he asked to make their relationship public. Newman replied, "I love you, but not enough to lose everything for you." The tape was hidden behind a painting in Sal's Santa Monica apartment. After Sal's 1976 murder, unknown individuals ransacked the apartment. Everything remained except that film can, which vanished. Newman never uttered Sal's name again. But friends said Sal was never as broken as over Paul, who made him believe in real love, then treated him like a mistake needing burial. Marlon Brando. A storm that burned out. Fast whispers began in 1962 when Sal was spotted near Brando's filming locations, exiting the same hotel using the same yellow cab. A room attendant at Chateau Marmont recalled Sal dialing room 304, but Brando answered. Neither emerged for the entire night. Brando, notorious for mystery and magnetism, had long been rumored to walk both sides of the line. According to confidential magazine insider, Brando gave Sal the green light after a party at Elia Kazan's house, leading to covert meetings filled with booze, sex, then radio silence. Sal loved deeply. Brando didn't. Their connection was intense, erratic, and short-lived. One day, Brando called Sal a talent that's never been loved right. Days later, he vanished without calls or letters. When Sal rang dozens of times with no answer, an assistant returned a sweater with a note. "I don't nurture feelings, not for anyone." Months later, Movieland Confidential published a chilling blind item. Brando once slept with a young actor known for playing gay roles. Only one fell in love. Guess who? No names were printed, no denials followed, but in Hollywood, silence often speaks louder than confessions. Tony Perkins, the Psycho Connection. A former Paul Newman assistant left a chilling note in a leaked posthumous diary. Paul didn't just cut Sal off. He tried to redirect him. Tony and Brandon were his suggestions, quiet matchmaking among those alike, but never allowed to admit it. Movieland Confidential's March 1965 issue hinted that 3 male stars, one known for Psycho, one for Rebel, one for Shane, were spotted leaving the same penthouse suite 10 minutes apart. The issue was pulled within 6 hours for a supposed printing error. A Beverly Hilton manager logged an internal report. Room 508 ordered 3 meals, but the nameplate read only Sal Mineo. That same night, Perkins was filming 10 minutes away while Brandon DeWilde was listed at a charity gala. Perkins, famously private and long rumored to have been involved with Tab Hunter, maintained synchronized silence with DeWilde after Sal's death. When a reporter asked Perkins at a Palm Springs gala, "Did you know Sal Mineo?" he stood up and walked out without a word. DeWilde replied through his manager, "Not involved, no comment." Sal once scribbled in his 1966 diary, "They didn't kill me, they just didn't save me." Brandon DeWilde, the Shane star's silent treatment. Brandon DeWilde, the child star who grew up to become a respected actor known for Shane, was the most puzzling name connected to Sal's secret network. After a string of successful roles, he vanished from Hollywood without explanation, fueling speculation about what really happened during those alleged Beverly Hilton meetings. In a leaked 1968 casting memo, a handwritten note next to DeWilde's name read, "Avoid pairing him with S, raises too many questions." The cryptic warning suggested industry insiders were actively working to keep certain actors separated, fearing the implications of their association. During a drunken night, Sal told his last close friend, "I thought Paul stabbing me in the back was the worst. But no, he didn't stab. He walked me into the woods and left me among wolves without a word." What really happened between Sal, Perkins, and DeWilde remains mystery. In a town that exaggerates everything, their synchronized silence after Sal's death made rumors feel more real. Both refused to speak about him, Perkins walking out of interviews, DeWilde communicating only through representatives. Their behavior suggested something deeper than casual acquaintance, whether a secret love triangle, unreleased compromising material, or simply a pattern of avoidance between men never allowed to be seen for who they truly were. Rock Hudson, the all-American secret. Rock Hudson, America's ultimate symbol of masculinity, was reportedly among the most dangerous names on Sal's secret list. As Universal Studios' golden boy with his towering height and smooth-as-velvet voice, Hudson's carefully crafted image as the ideal man made any connection to Sal potentially devastating for both careers. Industry insiders whispered about clandestine meetings between Hudson and Sal at George Cukor's Malibu parties, notorious as secret havens for closeted stars. Hudson's own struggles with maintaining his heterosexual facade while living authentically made him both sympathetic to and terrified of Sal's increasingly open defiance of Hollywood's unspoken rules. Unlike other affairs that burned hot and fast, the Hudson connection was reportedly more calculated. brief encounters designed to satisfy desires while maintaining plausible deniability. Hudson's powerful agent Henry Wilson allegedly orchestrated meetings through intermediaries, ensuring no direct contact that could be traced. The danger lay not in the affair itself, but in Hudson's status as Universal's most valuable asset. If Sal had possessed evidence of their relationship, photographs, letters, or recordings, it could have destroyed not just Hudson's career, but the entire carefully constructed mythology surrounding American masculinity that Hollywood sold to millions of moviegoers worldwide. Tab Hunter, the all-American boy's hidden truth. Tab Hunter, with his golden smile and chiseled all-American boy image, was another name that sent shockwaves through Hollywood's secret networks. In the 1950s, Hunter was the bright-eyed teen idol who made millions of schoolgirls swoon, but behind his wholesome facade lay the same struggles with identity that tormented Sal. Their connection allegedly began through Tony Perkins, who had been romantically linked to Hunter before his own complicated relationships developed. Hunter's arrest at a gay party in Long Beach in 1950 had nearly destroyed his career until a powerful producer bailed him out with an exclusive contract. The same kind of arrangement that trapped many young actors. According to Hollywood underground sources, Hunter and Sal met during the height of Hunter's fame, when the pressure to maintain his heterosexual image was at its peak. Studio executives forced Hunter into fake romance contracts with actresses like Natalie Wood and Debbie Reynolds to cover his real relationships. The tragic irony was that both men were living the same lie: successful, beautiful, and beloved by audiences who would have rejected them instantly if the truth emerged. Hunter's later memoir revealed his lifelong struggle with authenticity, writing, "I wasn't chosen for my acting. I was chosen because I was willing to be quiet and beautiful." Sal Mineo's tragic story reveals the devastating cost of living authentically in Hollywood's golden age, when a single whispered rumor about unnatural desires could destroy careers overnight. His secret list of famous lovers reads like a who's who of American masculinity: James Dean, Paul Newman, Rock Hudson, Tab Hunter, men who embodied the very ideals that made their authentic selves so dangerous to reveal. Each relationship followed a similar pattern: passion, secrecy, and ultimately abandonment when the stakes became too high. From Dean's paranoid whispers about burning private reels to Newman's crushing admission that he loved Sal, but not enough to lose everything, these men chose career survival over authentic love, leaving Sal increasingly isolated and vulnerable. The industry's response was swift and merciless. When Sal began threatening to go public with his experiences, he wasn't just blacklisted, he was systematically erased. His final years with Courtney Burr showed what might have been possible in a more accepting world, but even that love was dismissed and criminalized after his murder. Hollywood doesn't kill with guns. It kills by silencing voices and making the world doubt victims instead of perpetrators. Sal died carrying too many secrets, and to this day, no one has dared reveal everything he knew. His story serves as a haunting reminder of the price paid by those who dared to love authentically in an industry built on beautiful lies. If this tragic story moved you, share it to honor Sal's memory, and subscribe for more untold tales of Hollywood's hidden history.